Hello, my name is Chris Wright, and welcome to TUC0's Talks. This is a leadership podcast where we're going to talk to veterans, we're going to talk to athletic coaches, we're going to ask the tough questions, and we're going to try to learn from those lessons and fail forward. But ultimately, this is about taking care of people. How do we find our purpose, and how do we help others in that work? So buckle up, because we're checking in. The TUC0's Talks. Welcome back to TUC0's Talks. My name is Chris Wright, and today I have another interview. And man, I'm excited as always. We've got Jake Norotsky on. He is not only a friend of mine, but an expert that I brought on today. As you know, we've been working on mental health, really the first 3 months, and today is our last one on mental health, and I brought the expert on, so it'll be a lot of fun. So Jake, you want to say hi and introduce yourself?
Hey, y'all. Yeah. Hey, Chris. It's so great to be with you today. Thanks again for having me on. Yeah, it's been quite a journey. Mental health has been a journey for me as well. And I started out, at 14 years old, my father's a minister that commits suicide. And like, what do you do? Like, how does your life change right there? And then I joined the Army, spent 14 years as a UH-60 Black Hawk crew chief, who up. And
Yeah.
then I had an opportunity to get out, came to Auburn University, went through the professional flight program, kind of went up through my certificates, and now I have the honor to share my story and work with an amazing VSO, Veterans and Service Organization here in the United States. And so it's been an amazing journey, and I'm excited. Let's get started. What do you got? Hit me.
All right. Well, very good. No, it's gonna be fun, and man, what a story, what a background for you to be able to draw on not only what you've learned, but just what you've experienced. And so when we're talking mental health, that's enormous, right? There's so many aspects, and today you'll hear that's like almost a buzzword of, hey, we're dealing with mental health today. And so when you think of mental health and what you get to go and speak on and what you get to talk to people about, what's your expertise? What's your niche within the mental health?
I look back on my experiences as we so often do. And suicide is something that's followed me most of my life. And as I said before, starting with losing my dad as a young teenager, and friends and family members that have attempted, and then in the military and post military, losing brothers and sisters, left and right, honestly.
Yeah.
And so I've learned that suicide is not a thing. It's not like hey, we're dealing with suicide. We're dealing with other factors that lead to making a mistake that somebody would never normally make. And that mistake is making a decision to suicide. And so, what I talk a lot about actually is connection. I talk a lot about accountable relationships and understanding as leaders, understanding those that we're leading, our brothers, our sisters, our teammates. And reality is that suicide and a lot of the mental health challenges that we face as veterans or as service members come from being alone. Like, Jake, how can you be alone? You're in a unit. You've got your brothers around, your sisters around you.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're not in here. And so
Mm.
often what we show others, especially in the military, because the military is I've got to succeed. I've got to excel. Perfection is the standard. It's what we're always reaching for. As a UH-60 Blackhawk guy, perfection meant everybody came home. 99% meant somebody died, and that was, you say, really? Yes. Like that is what
Yeah.
you're aiming for at all times. And so I always want to put on this facade, hey, I'm in total control. I have the expertise for the challenge at hand. And so as brothers and sisters, do we get to know each other at a level to know what's behind that facade? And two, as brothers and sisters, do we open ourselves up to somebody else to say, hey, man, I'm having challenges? And I tell people all the time, look, man, if I took a baseball bat to your left knee, how many times would you say, hey, bro, I'm fine. I'm good. Like, let's go play. Like, I'm fine, before you called a doctor? But at the same time, what we do, especially in the tactical world, we're constantly taking a baseball bat to the side of our head emotionally and mentally. And the question is, like, do we ever get help? Like, do we ever say, hey, man, maybe I'm wounded? And the fact is, when I say I'm wounded, I'm not saying I'm weak. I'm just
Mm.
in the moment, I'm wounded. And so, do we ask for the help? Do we have brothers and sisters that are watching us and there to give us the help? And, uh, I think that's a lot of what I focus on, because I realize that's closer to the root of the problem than just saying, hey, we're losing people to suicide, or hey, we have brothers and sisters dealing with, what we call PTSD.
Golly, man. Yeah, that's huge. And there's so many comments there of it. It's just people feel alone, and they're not alone in proximity, but they feel like they're alone themselves, and they're alone in their own problem that they're unwilling to communicate about, and the other people are unwilling to dive into their world, or at least try to jump into their world to figure it out, to help them. And that loneliness just drives and drives and drives. And as a tactical guy, man, yeah, there's so many times that you're just getting just beat down with funeral after funeral after funeral, and you're just trying to hang on. um and people don't want to say anything because they know everyone else is hurting, and they don't want to be that extra burden to anyone. And they feel like, is it I'm being weak, or is it I'm being a burden? Either way, I don't want to have to draw attention to myself. And this is something you said to me one time, and I'm sure you don't even remember it, but it was life changing for me. Um, when I was trying to get myself square, and I remember being like, man, I just don't want to go get the help that I need. You said, is it that you don't want to take the help away from someone else because they deserve it more? And I was like, yeah, like exactly. Other people are really struggling and they need it more. And you were like, well, that just says that you need it. You just don't feel like you need it more. And I was like, gosh, dang it. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
like that was the time I think that I first said to myself, even if I don't feel I need it more than others, I still have to fix myself. But let's flip that over to, you're now a leader. And so think of a young leader, someone who is probably in their first real leadership position, and they have someone in their organization. And maybe it's combat, maybe it's not combat, but they know that someone is dealing with something, and they believe that there's a mental health problem there. How do you think for people like that? How do you lead somebody through that?
It starts with how we lead. And there's a saying that I've heard so many times, and it says, if you're leading and no one's following you, you're just out taking a walk by yourself. And the question is, what does that relationship look like? When I was a leader, when I was a flight instructor, and as an NCO in the Army, I got it all wrong, because I believe that due to what I did, and because I was instructor, I say jump. Don't ask how far. Look back and say, was that far enough? It should happen that fast. And I believe that my voice and what I was doing in the mission meant, I'm here to make things happen and make sure you can succeed at this mission. And that's it. And drive on. Let's go. This aircraft's got to get off the ground. Let's go. Let's go. And I've realized over time that a true leader almost has to love those that follow you more than they love themselves. As a leader, you have to be so invested in your people. You got to know. Like, if as a leader, do you know the middle names of the children of those that are following you?
Yeah.
Like, as a
Oh,
leader, do you understand when somebody, and I hate to use the word under you, I'm going to say a teammate, because that's what it is. It has to be a team. It can't be
right.
up and down. It's got to be a team, because everybody on the team needs to be just as good at their job as you are. And they
Yeah.
need to know your job like you know theirs. And you need to know your people in such a way that you can see that emotional change when somebody's is beginning to go through something. And I think one of the hardest things to do as a leader is to admit that you have a piece of equipment that needs work done to it. And I mean that
Mm.
as in your soldier. I'm going, hold
Yeah.
on a second, hold on. I know you're going for E5. I know you're trying to go to the board. I know you're a PT stud. I know you're all out 100% right now. I know that. Love you, bro, and I've got your back. But I care enough about you to say, hey, man, we don't have troops in contact right now. You know, we're inside the wire. Go get the help you need now so that you'll be ready when the time comes. And I think we use this phraseology, train to fight, train as we fight, right? And so sometimes we treat time inside the wire like we're in combat. And we're so busy standing in a formation. We're so busy impressing somebody on the PT track. We're so busy hitting that 300-meter target that somebody's wife is at home hurting because of what's going on with the husband. And I promise you this, if the wife's hurting, the husband's hurting.
Yeah.
And so I feel like I'm rambling a little bit right now, but I'm finding out that as a leader, it's all about serving those that are on the team with me. Do I love them almost more than they love themselves? Do I love them enough to have the conversation that says, "Hey, bro, hey, sis, we got to work on this thing." Yeah, when we do it in a way, you know, love first, truth second.
Mhm.
You know, they
Mhm.
have to know they're a member of your team. They have to know that you're behind them 100%, and then the truth has to be there.
Gosh. Yeah. I think like as you're talking, I'm just sitting here and being like, I failed it this time, I failed it this time, I failed it. You know, all those concepts of when people would tell me to go, I would just go. And there was no thinking. It was just 100%. I'm going through that wall. I don't care. Like that's what we do. And taking that quick second to be like, okay, I can run through the wall and I probably will run through the wall. But what's that going to do to my brother beside me? Because he's not going to let me run through the wall by myself. He's going to do it too. And is something going on there? And golly, there's so much there.
Yeah, you know, it's
Mm.
funny as we're talking, I'm looking back across my leadership during my time in the military, and I had some absolutely horrific leaders. I had guys that never grew up. They just put on more rank. And I had
Hmm.
absolutely amazing, just amazing leaders. And as I look back and I think about how they treated me, good, bad, and indifferent, when you know, as I'm, you know, hey, we're all following somebody,
Hmm.
and I think about the leaders that had those conversations with me that meant the most, and the leaders that were like, "Hey, man, you just need to get up and move." And you know, it really there is a difference. And y'all, I just want to say this for our listeners: um, don't get it twisted. Like we are, you know, we're the tip of the spear. We are on the razor's edge, and we have to be that good. You have to be that good for those that you're leading, for your teammates, for those that are watching you. But you can't be that good outside the wire if you don't take care of stuff inside the wire. And I think that's the conversation we're having right now. And I just want to delineate the two. I don't want to take away from how important our tactical capabilities are, but
Yep.
we can't be that good if we're not, you know, good up here as well.
Yeah, and you know, I'm rereading Infinite Game by Simon Sinek right now, and just that whole concept of you have to refit. Like you can't just this this is not a we're going to end at 20 years. You're not ending at 20 years of service. Like there's a whole life after that. And if you don't take care of yourself, you're not going to be able to continue after. So, man, we've got to get to that infinite game mentality that we can
Yeah.
push through. The one thing that you just said that I just am holding on to is you have to love them enough to have that conversation. Like tough conversations are hard. Nobody wants them. That that is in your face. But those are the things that happen between brothers and family members. Like you have those conversations. It's important enough to you. So and you have to love them more than you love yourself. And you have to be empathetic, jumping in there and having those conversations. So, man, yeah, that's that is good. All right. So we've talked about that from a person's side, from a leader's side. You are doing God's word, just going out and speaking to people, and constantly helping them. So let me ask you the personal question. What what are you learning now? Like, what are you getting to that point where you're taking care of yourself and you're able to figure things out for you?
I'm learning very quickly that the people I've looked up to in life that I thought were the experts, that were somehow at this amazing experience level, that they were looking down from 50,000 feet and quoting what was happening, are just sharing our lives. And I'm realizing that when I'm talking to an audience, I'm nothing. Yeah, I was up at Boston University on Monday speaking to a civilian military relations class. And as I'm talking
Hmm.
to these students from all over the world, there's this realization that like I'm nothing. There's a message, and the message is something, and there's, this audience needs to hear this message, and it needs to connect with them. And so I realize that it's all about them. And what I do, I have to, the me has to come out of here. Don't get it twisted. I mean, it's cool to stand in front of people and talk. It's cool to sometimes, every once in a while they clap. I think it's just to make me feel better, but you have to put that, self has to go away. there's
Hmm.
there's a saying that says, greater love hath no man than to lay down his life. And for so long I thought that that meant that, great, like, there's nothing better, there's no greater love than dying for somebody. And that's not what that says. What it's saying is you have to lay down your life. Like, I have to put down Jake Norotsky and go, hey man, what I think is most important in life, and what I want to accomplish, and where I want to go, and my bucket list of what I want to do, that's not near as important as the message that you need to hear for what you're going through today. There was a student that came up to me after the class and said, hey, I was too embarrassed to ask this question in front of everybody, but and I knew, I've had this question so many times, I knew it was coming. She said, my dad's a Marine, a veteran. He's been through, and she told me some stuff and said, how? Like, how do I deal? How do I help
Yeah.
de-escalate with him? And I realized, like, this whole trip, everything that went into this moment, that created this moment in Boston, was about this student. It was about what this
Mm.
student needed, what her dad needs, what this
Yep.
family needs. It's not about me. And so the more I do this, and the more I get to meet so many amazing people and hear stories and share, I'm realizing, it's, as a leader, it's not about you, man. And I'll be honest with you, if your focus is on everybody else, the fact is it's a real thing that says, like, a rising tide lifts all boats. Man, take care of your boys, take care of your girls, take care of your people, and you'll come up. And maybe you won't become the next 4 star in whatever service you're in, but you'll come up. You'll come up.
Yeah. No, that's so good. And there are times I've had some great conversations that, man, I am not the person. I'm not the man. I am just a person serving an organization in a certain role, and that is it. And so, just for people to realize that, to be a part of that larger organization, and for that to be enough.
I want to throw something else in there, Chris, if it's okay. In
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
military, it's really important that we know, in the tactical world as a whole, we have to know that we're 100% replaceable. And we
Oh
have
yeah.
to know that you have to, but as a leader, you have to know that what you're going to teach and what you're going to mentor into and what you're going to feed into is not. You're
Hmm.
replaceable. But the love, and I use the word love because that does cover all these bases. The mentorship that you can give your people is not replaceable.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, that's huge, right? Like, if you can just grab that concept and wrap your head around, you are not, but the effort, the determination, that mentorship, that's forever.
Yeah.
And good or bad, that's forever. So, man, mm, if that doesn't wake you up in the morning, like, I gotta go. Like, that's the burden of leadership. That's the burden of what we carry. And so, man, that's so good, so good. All right. Well, we've been at for 20 minutes, so it's about that time to wrap it up. But I do want to pass it back to you. Is there anything else that's on your heart that you just want to share with the team, or anything out there that you usually do as departing thoughts?
Yeah, Chris, it's. I was just sitting here thinking about this thing, and it's awesome that you're pushing this back to me. I never, ever, ever end a talk without talking about three up and three down.
Yeah.
And the fact is that like we can't change the world. Yo, leaders that are listening to this, you are not sorry. You're not going to change the world, but you can change those around you, and those around you can help change you and take care of you. And so, this challenge that I always end my conversations with is this: I challenge you in the next 48 hours to go find three people, not your brother, not your sister, mom, dad, girlfriend, boyfriend, significant other. Go find three people in a like place in life, and I want you to make a decision that you're going to check on them and you're going to invest in them every 48 hours. You say, Jake, for how long? Every 48 hours. And you're going to say, hey, man, I can't save everybody, but I can save these three people. That is so important that we create these relationships, these accountable, true, honest, open relationships where we can talk. And the second part is a little bit harder because I also want you to go find three more people and I want you to invite them to check on you. Y'all, 22 a day is like out the window. It's not even a thing anymore. It's closer to 25 a day. 25 a day. That's our warriors, our brothers and sisters that are leaving this earth far too early. That's so many challenges, that mental and physical and human challenges that we're going through that are just grinding us down. But if we can have these honest, accountable relationships, we can carry each other. There's a saying that says, when the demons come in the night, brother, give me a call and we'll fight them together. And I've realized that if we can take care of each other, the demons won't come because we won't be the weak point.
Man. Yeah. All right. So I've got some homework. Three up, three down. I will find that, and I'm all in checking on your brothers, just making sure that they're good. We're all here for each other. You can't save everyone, but you can save those that are right next to you. So
Yes, sir.
that's so good. Well, Jake, man, I appreciate it, brother. I appreciate you being on here and just sharing your wisdom. That is huge for us. For everyone else, man, thanks for following us. It has been great to have you on. Make sure you hit that like, subscribe button. All this helps work for Moray Classical Schools that we talk about all the time. But until then, from Jake and I, we'll talk to you later. This is TUC0's Wright. Check it out.